Hey everybody, it's Mike, and today is the first shoot with the GFX 100S, and I'm super excited about it. I've partnered up with a hair and makeup company here in Dallas called Tease to Please. We're here in their bridal collective space they call the Darling Co. It's kind of like their studio. And also, since I'm a couple hours away from the house, we're setting up to shoot in here as well. So I've borrowed some of their furniture. And then also we're using a backdrop that I painted at the studio, and it's just to look like a dingy old wall. So I'm gonna be playing around with shallow depth of field and trying to jump in between the 110 and the 63 mil, or if you're shooting full frame, it's about 85 or 50. But typically on these old pulp covers, they didn't do a lot of background detail. A lot of it was more just dark textures, and that's kind of what I'm going to be going for with this. This was the first shoot with the GFX 100S. Like I said in a previous video, I typically shoot on the GFX 50S, but because of a shoot, I ended up having to upgrade to this one, and I'm really impressed with it. The one thing I paid more attention to than anything else was the autofocus, because the 50S had a tendency, especially on the 63 millimeter, it had a tendency to hunt a little bit with autofocus, and that was just in bright lights, a typical headshot, portrait session. But this one, for this shoot, with it being a lot darker, I was shooting a lot more wide open. I was shooting at the absolute lowest aperture, 2.0 on the 110 millimeter. And we had haze going, or the canned atmosphere. So there was a lot really in the way for the camera to kind of fight through to find focus, and it did a really good job. So I'm impressed with it. Another thing I'm impressed with is that I thought I was going to burn through cards a lot faster than I did. In fact, I barely put a dent in my first card on the shoot. Now, I don't shoot a ton of images to begin with, but still, I thought I would burn through them a lot faster, and I was a little bit worried about that, but that not an issue at all. So I'm excited to continue to shoot with this and see, but as far as I can tell right now with the limited play that I've gotten with it, it's fantastic and quite an upgrade from the GFX 50S. There's a couple things about the shoot I was a little bit bummed out about, and it's all my fault, really. Coming from the video side of things, I've always admired these directors that have a really strong style and vision, like Tarantino or Fincher, David Fincher. Some of these guys, they're so clear in the vision that they have for it that you can see just still frames of a movie and you would know who the director is by the way they've even done wardrobe and lighting and all those things, even choice of lenses, apertures, things like that. You see it and you know within just a few seconds, okay, this is that director. And whenever I moved into photography, that's the one thing I was like, if I can capitalize on anything, it is knowing that going in with planned shots, because in video you can't really go out and just shoot a bunch of different things and hope that it cuts together, because you're trying to tell a story. And so whenever I got into photography, that was the thing I was like, okay, I want to have strong direction and I want to be able to try to tell a story with the images that I get. And I feel like on this shoot I didn't do that as well as I did in the past shoots that I've kind of planned out. There's some things that happened before the shoot. I was exposed to COVID, thought I had probably had it, so I took a test, but the results took forever. Work got pushed around, and it just got a little chaotic. And I wish I'd spent that extra time actually planning the shoot, but I didn't, and I kind of fell short on that. So the images that I have, there's a couple that I really like, but they don't tell as much of a story as I'd I should have gone in with clear direction and said, okay, here's what I want out of this image. I want this vibe, this is the character. I'm gonna try to do that even a lot more moving forward. So I'm still learning, still a beginner as well. I am proud of what I'm getting, but I do know that I'm a far away from where I want to be as a photographer and what I'm delivering in images. So I hope that I continue to learn. I'm excited to grow, and you have to have shoots like these. You have to get out and play, learn your tools. And since I had a new camera, I had a new modifier, I did want to try those out, and this was the best environment to do it. Now, I can be hard on myself and say that I didn't get as many images as I had wanted, but I still got some great images, and for the first time using them, I'm proud of what they were. But I mean, it would be great if every time I went out and wanted to shoot, I had a model and hair and makeup and stuff. So I can't be upset. I am happy with the way it turned out, but I should have done a little bit more homework beforehand to really make use of the time I had with the professionals that were doing hair and makeup, and then also my friend Ricky, who was the model. So in the future, if I can give you anything, I would say, as a photographer, think of yourself more like a director telling a story. You're trying with every image to capture the story of whoever that person is, and you will lean less on blurring out the background or trying to find some interesting overlay or using, prisms and stuff like that to make the image interesting, and you'll lean harder on actual elements within the frame that you can tell a story in a single frame. There are some fantastic photographers that do that. They build beautiful sets, or even just a person in front of a plain backdrop like this. They know how to pose them and angle their bodies in a way that really speaks a story. I hope that I can get there, and I know that I can in time. We're still early on in this, so I want to spend the time to get better. But I will say I'm proud of these images. I'm really excited about this camera, and let me know what you think of them. I'll post a couple up, and I'm still playing with some of the other ones, but I'd love to get your feedback. And until the next one, thanks for joining me on this.